Hi everybody, welcome to today's session. It's really good to see so many of you here. It's great and I can see the numbers just racking up as we're going through. Let's just crack on and talk about the topics that we're going to cover in today's session. And I love these sessions because it's such a chance for me to kind of introduce all the new exciting features that we've got. And we've got some really great ones from the last quarter. We're going to take a look at auto add from email. So this is getting Bullhorn to do the hard work for you. We can automate entering new contact and company information into Bullhorn based on who you're emailing at the moment. Now this feature is in beta and has been since January, so we're going to take a look at that. We're also going to take a look at trigger words. Now if you are on Enterprise Edition, you may be familiar with this already, but it's been enhanced and it's now configurable on a per user basis under preferences. So you can set the terms that you want to drive the content of the flagged emails card for your own account. And that's been on general release since March time. We're going to take a look at goals and quotas. And this is something that's in beta at the moment and has been since our March release. And this is going to allow you to track your users' individual sales quotas, set them up quarterly, and then you can measure their performance against those goals, those quotas, and you can make adjustments throughout the quarter if you need to. And then the final thing that we're going to take a look at there is the NPS survey tool. So this is about measuring your client satisfaction, and we can automatically enroll people and automatically send out those surveys. So we'll take a good look at that. And that's a feature that's been generally available through Enterprise and Corporate since March. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump straight into Bullhorn. So I'm going to log in here. Guys, do bear in mind that the Bullhorn that I'm going to be looking at may look ever so slightly different to your own systems. So I'm just waiting for the screen to refresh there for you. So for example, some of the language, some of the terminology that we have here may be ever so slightly different to your system. The features that I'm going to show you though are the same, so the functionality is the same. It's just some of the wording that you might see as we go through. So for example here, jobs, yours might say vacancies instead. So let's take a look at the auto add from email first of all. Now this is a feature that's available for Pulse, so it's here under Tools in the Pulse HQ. Bullhorn's Pulse Auto Add-on email feature was introduced back in January, and it automates contact and company record creation. So when you send an email to an unknown person, i.e. they're not a record in your Bullhorn CRM yet, Pulse can automatically create that record. It's going to create a new contact record and will populate fields such as the name and the email address. And it will either associate them with an existing company in your database, or using Bullhorn Market Intelligence, it can create a new company record, populating fields such as the company name, the address, the telephone number, and the domain. So this page, Pulse HQ, is accessible to administrators only. Some of you may recognize the phone activity. And this, guys, is used to allow you to track those phone calls and define which ones are going to be counted as inbound and which ones are going to be counted as outbound calls. So with the auto add feature, you can configure it. So you can specify domains to either whitelist or to blacklist. So whitelist means only create contacts from a particular domain. So for example, if there's a big company that you're working with, so acme.com as an example, you want to create contacts from there straight away. Or you can go ahead and you can blacklist. So never create a contact from this particular domain. So for example, Gmail, Yahoo, so your employees' personal contacts don't end up in Bullhorn. If you want to put more than one, all you need to do is just separate them out with a comma. if I can type today, guys, apologies. Now, note here that you can either do one or the other. So you can only whitelist or you can only backlist. You can't do both of those. Note also that Pulse is never going to create contacts for anyone with the same domain as the user. So this is to prevent any employees from inadvertently having their internal email activity become public. Okay, so that's never going to happen. Under preferences, the users can also decide if when they want their auto-created contacts to come in as private or public. So let's take a look at that. So under the main menu, under Home, in your own preferences here, under the Pulse section, just here you can see whether we can decide whether they're going to be added as private or not. So it's just a checkbox here. If you don't check it, if you leave it unchecked, they're just going to simply come in as a new lead. Now, this feature, I have to say, has been so popular with our beta audience that it's actually already full. But don't worry, once it becomes genuinely available, all Enterprise Edition clients are going to be able to request this one. So that's the auto add from email. The next area that we're going to take a look at is trigger words. Guys, if you're on Enterprise Edition, you may already be used to the flagged emails card. But as of last month, each individual user can now configure their own trigger words. And again, we do it right here from the Preferences screen. Now, previously, it was only administrators who could define those trigger words, and that was from the Pulse HQ card. When they configured them there, it would then apply to your entire company. But as I say, now each individual user can choose the words that are most important to them to have flagged up in that flagged emails card. As you can see, we've got a whole selection of words here, including things like unsatisfactory, reject, angry, upset. If I want to add in any more, all I need to do is type into the box here, so I could put in awful, for example. What else could we have? We can maybe have ridiculous. But guys, they don't have to be negative words. They could also be ones to flag up positive emails. So if I see an email that's got, happy in it, I want to know about that. Maybe delighted, that would be a lovely word to use. We could add in delighted as well. So they don't always have to be negative, they can also be positive there as well. Don't forget, guys, with preferences, you always need to make sure you save. It's going to be down there at the bottom. Let's take a look at the company list and take a look at that flagged emails card. So we're going to jump into the main menu here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my companies list. And we're going to look at the slide out bar here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the binoculars. And here's my card, my flagged emails card. So you can see here it's flagged up those emails. So this one's positive, proceed. We've got unsatisfactory, happy here as well. Do note though that these words aren't retroactive. So what I mean by that is if you add new trigger words in there, it's not going to flag up any past emails that you've already received. It will only flag those ones that you receive moving forward. So if you've already got flagged emails as a card, you can start using this functionality straight away. So it's under your preferences in the Pulse section there. Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit now, and we're going to talk about goals and quotas. Goals and quotas is in open beta for enterprise customers at the moment, and we access it from the home page, so in the home menu. So underneath the main menu, underneath the home menu, you'll see goals and quotas in here. Goals and quotas allow you to track your users' individual sales quotas, and you can set up quarterly goals and measure their performance relative to those goals. You can also make adjustments as you go through the quarter, so you can up that goal if you need to, or we can, be generous and maybe reduce the goal if necessary. You manage the information from here on the goals and quotas list view, and also via the sales performance dashboard card, which you can access from my dashboard and the opportunity dashboard. So let's start by setting up a goal. So we've got a new employee, Sophie. All I need to do is click to add my goal in here. The default will be for the current quarter, so we're already in Q2, and the year will be defaulted to the correct year as well. So what I need to do is go ahead and add my user. So let's type in a couple of letters of her name and it will find her for us. And then we need to go ahead and put the quota in. I don't know if you noticed the quotas that the other guys have got. I'm going to give her slightly less, we're already kind of partway through the month, so we're going to give her a slightly lower goal than her peers. And we'll go ahead and we'll save. So here we can see Sophie here. We can see her quota, so her goal. Notice though, she hasn't actually attained anything yet. So Sophie only just started this week. We need to give her a bit of a break. She hasn't actually closed out any opportunities yet. In order for the opportunities to actually be counted towards the user's goals, they must be in a status that's been configured to count as revenue, and it's the administrator that needs to set that up. So you do it from settings. So if we just click into settings here, you can see that I've got closed and close one to be the relevant ones for me that I want to actually count as revenue against their goal. And the opportunity itself also has to have an actual close date completed. Now when you close it down, that's going to automatically fill out for you, but that close date must fall within the quarter that we're looking at here as well. Kind of makes sense, right? Now if we click on the deal count for any one of these users, what it's going to do is take us directly into the filtered opportunity list, and then we can just verify the information. On the opportunity dashboard, so if we click through to the dashboard card here, we can take a look at the sales performance card. So I'm just going to stretch that out and make it a little bit bigger. It gives us a bit more of a visual and also an all-encompassing display of that user's progress against their quarterly goals, but it also gives us the total quota and the revenue goal for the company. So we can see that here as the headline. So the total quota and where we're at with that, how many deals that actually equates to. And again, guys, you can click through to those deals from here. We can also, if you're on Enterprise Edition, you can request this feature once it becomes generally available. As I say, it is in beta at the moment. So that's the goals and quotas and the sales performance cards that then go with that. So guys, the final area that we're going to take a look at today is the NPS survey tool. Now before we actually show this to you in Bullhorn, I want to just jump in back to my slides, and we're going to take a look at a couple of slides here. So again, guys, I'm just going to wait for that screen to refresh through. Seems like a little bit of a delay there. Hopefully it'll come through. There we go. So the NPS survey tool. NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, and this helps you measure client satisfaction. It's really simple. It's really straightforward. Your clients are going to answer a question on a scale of 0 to 10, and that question is how likely is it that you would recommend your company, your brand, to a friend or colleague. Their scores will then come in, and they're classed as one of 3 types of people. If they score 0 to 6, they're classed as a detractor, which means they're not happy. They could do damage to your brand. Score 7 and 8, and they're passive. So This typically means they're satisfied, but they're not necessarily loyal or enthusiastic. They could potentially be swayed by competitors. They're probably not bad-mouthing you, but they're probably not singing your praises either. So they're passive. And then we get to the 9 to 10s. These are your promoters. These are your loyal enthusiasts. These are the ones that are going to keep doing business with you. And these are the ones that are going to refer other people to you. So they're shouting your name from the rooftops. Or as we would put it at Bullhorn, these are your raving fans. These are the people that you want to hang on to. Now, your overall score is calculated by subtracting the percentage of detractors from the percentage of promoters. Guys, if you want to learn a little bit more about NPS, this website at the top here, netpromoter.com, is a great place to go and learn a little bit more about that. So let's take a look at the tool from within Bullhorn. The tool has been available since March. It's been on general release since March, and it is available for corporate and enterprise users. It allows you to automatically email the configurable surveys to all of your enrolled contacts and at times when it's best to contact them. You can view and manage all of your contacts responses from the NPS responses list, and we get to that from the main menu underneath the home menu. So it sits actually just above goals and quotas in there. Now first off, let's start by taking a look at how to create a survey. At the top here there's a Edit Survey button. So first off, the Send NPS Surveys toggle should be on. Don't worry, it's only going to send it out to contacts that you've got enrolled, and we'll show you how to enroll in just a moment. You can update the subject line, so I might take out these exclamation marks there. You can also update the reply to display name. You can set the frequency, so how often you want the survey to be sent. You can also determine the content, so what's going to be presented in there, and also the question. Now bear in mind though that the question should really always be some variation of this one. So how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague? Perhaps though you could just personalize it a little bit by adding in your company name or adding in your logo. Do note though, if you are adding in a logo, it needs to be an image that you host yourself. And if you want to see what the survey is going to look like for your contacts when they receive it into their inbox, we can just go ahead and click the preview button. And if you're happy with it, all we need to do is just go ahead and save it. Okay, so we've created our survey. Let's go ahead and start enrolling some contacts. So we're going to jump into the main menu and let's take a look at our contacts in here. Just loading up there for us. Now you can enroll your contacts en masse from here, or you can do it individually from the edit tabs on their records. There's just a small little radio button. And disenrolling them though has to be done individually, and that again is just from the edit tab. In our example here though, let's just go ahead and enroll everybody. So I'm just going to select them all here. And then using the blue selected button, you'll see at the bottom here, you've got an option to enroll and send your NPS survey. Now, if they've already been enrolled, you will get this little message here just saying that they have already been enrolled. Okay, and it will still enroll any others on there who haven't been enrolled. Okay. Now, this is the really clever bit. Bullhorn can determine when the best time is to email out the survey. And we do that based on the Pulse Engagement Summary card. So guys, if you're on Enterprise Edition, you'll be familiar with that already. So the survey is going to go out to those contacts at the time on the next business day. Okay. By that, what I mean, it's not going to pick up the day and time, it's just going to focus on the time of day that's best to contact them, and then it will send it out in the next business day. Now, if we can't determine the best time to email, either because Pulse isn't enabled, you're a corporate user, or if there isn't enough email activity on the contact, the survey will go out the next day at 10 a.m. EST. Okay, so let's pretend that some time has passed and we've got some results in. So let's go back to that responses list then. Among other things that we see in the list view here, we can see the names of the respondents, their company, we can see their score, and then we can see what type they are. So based on that score, are they passive, a promoter, or are they a detractor? We can also see the date that the survey was sent and the date that they responded, as well as any comments that they added in there as well. As with all your list views, you can personalize this, so you can add and remove columns as you wish, and you can also create different layouts. You can also sort and filter by the data as well. Now, if a contact has responded to multiple surveys in the past, the data that's going to display on this list is only going to be their most recent response. Note also that contacts can only submit a response to the same survey once. If they attempt to submit a second response to the same survey, they'll just get an error message in the browser window that opens when they select that score. Now, in addition to the list view, there are two cards that come with this functionality. There's one that we can see from here, the Net Promoter Score comments. So if we click on the slide out bar here, you'll see the comments here. Now, this is going to display their responses, any comments that they've got there. We're also going to see their score. Now, it will display in chronological order for each contact all of the surveys that they've replied to. So Robert here, he's only replied to one so far. But if I just click to my next one here, if you look at Joseph, he's replied to 2, and it's great to see that his score has improved. So he started at a 7, he's now into 9. And notice how there's a bit of color coding going on here. So any passives will just appear in grey. Promoters are going to be green, and any detractors, those are going to be in red. So if we have a look at Susan here, I think she's a bit of a detractor. So she only scored 6, she's there in red. So we can see that just from the slide out bar on the responses list. But also, guys, if we just jump back into the company list, and we have a look at Builder Brothers here, there's a card that's available on here, which is the Net Promoter Score. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. And scroll down, there we go. Hopefully you can see that pulling through for you. Now, this is accessed via the slide out on the company list, but you can also get to it from My Dashboard and the Company Pulse tab. This, guys, is only for Enterprise Edition, but it displays the trend of your NPS scores for the entire company within the given time period. So you can either look at it monthly, quarterly, or yearly. All the NPS responses are factored into this graph, including those from any deleted contacts, as well as any contacts who maybe have received and submitted answers to multiple surveys. However, note that the contacts, again, can only submit a response to the same survey once, so they can only do each survey once. And if they attempt to submit it again, they get that error message, as I mentioned earlier on. Now, to request this feature, most of which is available for both corporate and enterprise editions, all you need to do is reach out and contact our support team. Guys, I also just want to remind you that any new features, we do email out to account contacts, but everyone can find out about new features and new releases from clicking on the little speech bubble up here. So from time to time you may see a number appears there, and that's just the message that we've sent to you. So you can see here our latest one about Pulse Digest, but you can also click through to take a look at more updates for the month as well. So if you want to find out about any releases, you can access it whenever you want using that speech bubble. Guys, let's just take a little recap on everything that we've been through today. So again, I'm just going to bring up that slide for you. Apologies guys, there seems to be a little bit of lag there. So we started by talking about the auto add from emails. So this is getting Bullhorn to do the hard work for you and automate entering new contact and company information based on who you're communicating with, who you're emailing right now. We looked at the trigger words. So this is now configurable on a per user basis and it sits under preferences. Goals and quotas, so use that to track your individual sales quotas, setting up those quarterly goals and measuring their performance against those goals. And then finally there, we've just looked at the NPS survey tool, so those Net Promoter Scores, measuring your client satisfaction. And as you can see, that most of these, I have to say, are Enterprise Edition. NPS is available for corporate, the most part of it, apart from that one last card. Guys, if you are a team or a corporate edition user and you love the look of these new features, just speak to your account manager and they can talk to you about upgrading to Enterprise. All right, guys, thank you for listening. I think we're going to open it up to any questions now.
Thank you, Eloise. That was great. We had a lot of good questions come in during the webinar, and continue to submit your questions if you have them. A lot of people were asking about how they figure out what product edition they were on. Eloise, do you mind explaining how they can figure this out?
Yeah. So I guess the sort of obvious answer is it's in your contract. I would speak to your administrator, guys. So if you speak to your administrator, and I'm just going to jump back into Bullhorn here and show you what to do if you are an administrator. Let me just share my screen with you again there, guys. So if you're an administrator, it doesn't matter which edition, you will have access to your user accounts here. And if you click into your user accounts, you will be able to see the user type in here. And in that user type, there normally is a clue. Okay, so your user type may be something like corporate admin, enterprise admin, team admin. It may be standard corporate user, standard enterprise user. So that's the best place to look. So get your administrator to go ahead and check under the users list. Or you can dig out your contract and have a look through there for sure as well.
Thank you. Great. We had a question from Jennifer about trigger words. She asked, can a trigger word be a Bullhorn user's name?
Yeah, I guess it could be in theory, but I'm trying to think what would be the scenario to bring that up. You know, in theory, there's nothing to stop you from putting it in as a trigger word. So yeah, you could do that for sure. Don't forget though that you've got access to all of the email communications, so you can always see any emails that your colleagues have been sending out to people. If you have, let's just jump in here, if you are on Enterprise and you have Pulse, you can see it from the Pulse card. But also guys, if you're on Team or Corporate Edition, don't forget you can just go to the Activity tab and you can see all of your email communication in here as well.
Awesome, thank you. We had a question from Wendy asking, are you able to see the trigger email from a dashboard card, or is it only on the company slide out?
Yeah, so the trigger emails, and you can see it on your Pulse card as well. Let me just double check here. Actually, apologies guys, you can see it, let me just refresh my screen. It's just lagging. Apologies, guys. Hopefully it's going to pull through. There we go. So the flagged emails is a card that you can see here from the slide out bar. And if we just jump into our Builder Brothers, you can add it as a card onto the company record as well. Is that showing up for you? Yeah, I think so. So we can add it in here too. So you can see it from within the record as well.
Great, thank you. We had another question about trigger words, and they asked if these trigger words could be set up for a company as a whole, or is it by user basis?
It is by user basis now, so it's all dealt with via preferences. It used to be in the Pulse HQ, but it's now individual. It's going to do it on their own preferences page.
Okay, and then following up there, who has access to the Pulse HQ? Mike was wondering if admin, staff, and individual users could all access it.
It's only admin that has access to the Pulse HQ. So Pulse HQ is accessed via the Tools menu here down at the bottom, and it will only be an admin user that can access the Tools menu.
Great, thank you. We had a couple of questions about the NPS survey. One person asked, how complex can the surveys be? Is it a single question, or we did see that feedback in the free text field, but is that
yeah, it's always going to be just that single question. So you always want to make sure it's some variation of this question, but there is the opportunity for them to add comments in as well. NPS is, by its very nature, just about that Net Promoter Score. It's that quick, easy question for them to answer.
Great. We have one more question. Can I delete quotas if I added them in error?
Yeah, unfortunately at the moment we can't delete those quotas at the moment. We can edit them, but we can't delete them at the moment.
Great. Thank you so much, Eloise. That was a great demo and great webinar. If you guys have more questions, feel free to continue submitting them, and we will reach out with the answers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.